Great. So welcome back to our Caring with Melanie series. This is part 2. Glad to see some new faces and some returning faces. And I'm Lisa with Dementia Alliance. Really quickly, I want to thank our sponsors, ESI, Aware Senior Care, who is now Home Care Assistance, and Kent Thompson with Capital Financial Solutions. And most of all, I want to thank Melanie Bunn for joining us again today and sharing all about hands-on helping. We learned a lot last time. I really think we do. We explored some hand under hand techniques and those kinds of things. So I'm really interested to see what else you have to share with us today, Melanie.
Thanks, Lisa. And you know, we've been colleagues and friends for decades, and it always makes me feel good when you invite me back to do something. So it's nice to be invited to do something once, and to be invited back again makes it even better, especially for someone who has the ability to match her clothing to the screen behind her. I just find that just really impressive. I think Nancy could probably be in there. Nada would go pretty well. I would be not very good at all, but I'm recycling scarves. So
you look very holiday, very festive.
Well, you know, it's yes. I'm celebrating. So that question, but are you ready for the holidays? It's like, yeah, I need a holiday, and ooh, I haven't done the stuff I'm supposed to have done by now. So let's just hope that 2-day Amazon shipping is really gonna see me through. But that's enough about me. So let's talk about so Anna said watched yesterday. Oh, good. And tried some of those at a holiday luncheon, and it worked great. So Anna, do you have the ability to unmute even if your camera is, are you in a situation where you can unmute, or is chatting going to work best for you? Oops, chatting missed. So just add in there, what did you do and how, and that worked great. So just kind of drop into the chat some shorthand for what did you try that worked. I'm just very curious. And because I don't know that the chat shows up on the video, Anna said, yes, watch session 1 again to refresh my memory, utilize the strategies at a Christmas luncheon, and they worked great. So we'll just, as Anna's able to, she'll maybe add some of those things in, and we'll go ahead and they're hand under hand to help her eat and treat. Fantastic. That is wonderful. I'm so glad that went well. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started with today. So the first slides I have are those kind of very classic slides that we always use with Dementia Alliance, with the mission and some of the purposes of. And this is part 2. That's just to remind me. So I am not confused. I may be confused, but I'm not confused about this. This is a slide that y'all have seen before. If you were here at the first one, or if you watched it online, but it's here on purpose because that's kind of keeping this focus that it's not just one way or the other. We really have 3 distinct ways that we can help and that we can cue people. So we've got that visual way of helping, of showing somebody what to do with demonstration gestures and signs. We've got that verbal way of helping, of telling people what to do and using words and directions. We've got that hands-on helping, which is really kind of the purpose of this series. And it really doesn't exist in isolation. So that hands-on helping really doesn't exist in isolation. So what does this mean when it comes to real people? Well, there are a couple of kind of patterns that we can see. And what we can see is as dementia progresses, people become more likely to react and respond to reflex, and less likely to follow social cues and rules. So starting here, they're more likely to have those reflexes, less likely to follow those social cues and rules. So what does that mean when it comes to hands-on caregiving kinds of things? What does that mean when it comes to hands-on caregiving? So if what I'm trying to do is, if I'm working with my person here, and my person here is not nearly as skilled as my person. Oops, I'm getting ready to knock over my thing. Y'all were all watching to see if it really was going to fall. So if I can nudge it back into place before it falls over. And I don't want to wind up on YouTube as presenter decapitated by screen. That would not be what I wanted to happen. So if I whoops. That was close. If I actually am working with this person who's not really as beautiful or nearly as skilled as my friend Lori I worked with on the first one, but if this person has a broken arm, has 2 broken arms, and I'm providing support and I go to wash his face, he gets it because I use the visual cues, the verbal cue. He gets what I'm trying to do. And so for someone early in the disease, if I early in dementia, if I am doing this, they're going to be respectful of the social cues and the interaction kinds of things, and they're not going to like it, but they're going to let me do it. If the person has dementia, a little farther along, as that change happens and I'm helping, that person might actually, and it's just a glove, there's nothing in it, I'm not actually abusing myself, that person might actually push me away or get me out of the way. So as people develop more dementia, as the dementia progresses, people are more likely to have more response from reflex and less of kind of doing things because this is how we as human beings do things and respond and react and relate. Also, as dementia progresses, we're going to see more of a response to what we show them and less of a response to what we say. So if Lisa and I are going to go out to eat dinner, and she's running a little late, and I'm there, I'm in the car, I'm waiting for her, I might say, okay, Lisa, take your time. We've got plenty of time. Just take your time. Don't hurry. We're fine. We've got plenty of time. And Lisa, are you gonna just you're gonna kind of take your time, right?
Mhm.
Because I
Right.
said, because the words I said were take your time. We're okay. We've got plenty of time. My body language was saying pretty strongly what to you, Lisa?
Hurry up.
Hurry up. And you are hurrying because you're a respectful person and because you aren't usually late, so you're not going to just mosey around, but you're going to get done what you need to get done efficiently, and you're going to show up and we're going to go. If you've got dementia and I'm going, well, just hurry up, I mean, just take your time, we've got plenty of time, you might respond to not my words,
Your body language.
but to my body language, and you might tell me what?
Well, geez, Melanie, don't rush me.
You might say, don't rush me, or you might say, well, I'm just not going to go. You're being, I don't want to spend time with you. You just get out of here. I don't want to go. I don't want to be with you. I'm done. I don't need anything to eat. You just go on and get out of here. I don't need any time with you. Just get out of here. I'm done with you. And so whereas Lisa can kind of say, yeah, Melanie's impatient, but I'm going to go ahead and get ready. Lisa, as a person living with dementia, might not hold on to those words if what my body language looks like is, I'm kind of impatient and irritable. So we'll look at one more of these kinds of things that gets more and less. So the next one is, as dementia progresses, look for more strength and less skill. So do that with me. And I think we started talking a little bit about that last time, but do that with me. Put your hand up like this and go more strength. Not Margaret. Margaret, you keep your hands on the wheel. You keep your hands on the wheel, Margaret. Don't be out there driving with one hand. More strength and less skill. So take a moment and thinking that we're talking about hands-on care. What kinds of things, and I see Margaret dropped something in the chat about bathing, which is a really, really important thing, and then a communication thing of wanting to go home, which we actually have a clip on the website, I think, Lisa, don't we? That is about wanting to go home. I think we do have a video clip specifically about empathetic communication, maybe, that has a lot about wanting to go home. So let's talk for just a minute about what parts of, let's use bathing for a few minutes. What parts of bathing require strength? So you can just unmute and say it out loud, or you can drop it into the chat. What parts of bathing require strength? What are some of the bathing things? And you can just drop it in the chat, or you can say it out loud. What parts of bathing require strength? It's not a trick question. I don't ask trick questions in these programs. I ask trick questions with my nursing students. Margaret will tell you that, but I don't ask trick questions in these kinds of programs.
Melanie, Anna says getting in and out of the tub or shower requires.
Yeah, that's a great example. So getting in and or out of the tub or shower might be something where you've got to have that strength to do it. So the person might have the strength to step in, to step out, to stand up, to sit down, might have that strength. And some of that fine motor of keeping their balance in that shower might be lost, because that balance piece is that fine motor piece.
Could it also be kind of just a hesitation to bathe? That, you know, they're hygiene issues, or I don't know, but a hesitation.
So a hesitation to bathe. So that's another really common kind of issue with the issue of bathing, that sometimes people get really hesitant. So Nada, what might make somebody hesitant to bathe?
Well, it could be that they think that it could be that they think they showered and maybe they didn't. It could be that, you know, I don't know if there's sensory issues with the shower or something like that. Or just kind of a general feel that they don't need a shower, or something else, or maybe it's physically uncomfortable for them. I think it could be a host of things.
Yeah. And so you really set us up for the next thing we're going to talk about, Nada. And Anna put in there, fear of falling is another really big one that has to do with. So let's hold on to some of those things, and let's kind of hold on to this issue of bathing. And let's look at this slide, because in this slide, what is really important about this is kind of that idea of matching how we are helping to what the person needs. So early on, take a moment and just look at this PowerPoint. Now, don't look if you're driving your car. I'll read it to you if you're driving your car, Margaret. Don't look at it if you're driving your car. But that early on, the kinds of helping that we tend to use tends to be visual and verbal. And then kind of in the middle, the helping that we use might be visual and verbal and hands-on, just to kind of get things started. And then later on in the disease, hands-on helping might be more hands-on, that hand under hand kind of thing, and maybe a little bit of verbal so they can recognize our voice and kind of hear a few words of information, and maybe a little bit of visual, moving slowly if they see us coming. But generally speaking, it's really going to be that hands-on helping in a really supportive kind of way. So that's kind of a broad way. I'm going to move a little bit more into a way of looking at progression of dementia. Now, there are lots of resources for this. This is something, it's based on the Allen cognitive levels, which is an OT model. And then Tifa Snow and I did some work with the model, and she came up with this idea of not calling people by numbers anymore, but starting to call people by these precious gemstones. And so we're going to connect where people are in this gemstone progression with what kinds of hands-on helping we might be doing. So let's start with, do you want to continue? This is a question for everybody. Do you want to continue with bathing, or, because we did a lot with eating last time. Do you want to continue with bathing? Does that work for everybody? You can kind of give me a thumbs up if you want to, or, so Anna's giving a thumbs up, and Nada and Victor. So we'll continue with bathing.
Nancy says yes, and Ashley says that's okay.
Okay, so we'll kind of continue with this bathing kind of thing. So we're going to start with these people who are in the diamond gem state. And these are people who are very, very early in dementia. These are people who, if you meet them casually, you may not realize something's going on. In fact, a lot of family members, if they live with the person, they don't realize the person's got dementia because they've been changing so slowly that they don't pick up and realize that something's going on. But what the problem is for people in this very early issue is getting new information in. So if you can't get new information in, what are you left with? The old stuff. So what happens is, Lisa is my daughter, and I've got a doctor's appointment today. So Lisa says, calls me the night before, and she says, Mom, I'm going to come over early in the morning and I'm going to help you get cleaned up because you've got that doctor's appointment. So I'll be over, it'll probably be around 9 o'clock. Your appointment is at 11. We'll take about an hour getting cleaned up, and we'll get to the appointment by 11. So that's what Lisa's doing. So when Lisa gets there to help me get ready for my day.
Good morning, Mom.
Well, hey, sweetheart, what are you doing here?
Well, I'm here to help you get ready for your doctor's appointment like we talked about.
Oh, well, I'm already ready.
Well, you need to get a shower first, Mom.
Oh, I've already had a shower. Now I'm on timeout right now because Lisa can tell from 6 feet away from me. I have not had a shower. Lisa can tell from outside of my house, even maybe, that I have not had a shower. Nada, you're grinning, and I see Margaret grinning. This is kind of familiar. Now, Lisa, why do you think I think I've already had my shower? You look at how I'm dressed.
Because you take a shower every day, or you always have done that in the past, and you're already dressed.
My past memory is I don't take a shower at night because taking a shower at night wakes me up. If I take a shower at night, I'm awake until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So I don't take a shower at night. I take my shower in the morning unless I'm desperate. Unless I've like been at Disney all day, then I'll take a shower at night. But I mostly take my shower in the morning. Or unless I've been working around people with COVID, then I take a shower when I get home. So I Lisa comes in and it's the middle of my morning because I've been up since 7 and I'm already dressed. So I think what?
Think you've had a shower.
I've already had a shower. So in this situation, my issue is not that I don't have the ability to shower and bathe. My issue is I don't keep things straight that I've showered and bathed or not. So I don't remember that I haven't showered. I don't remember that I've already showered. So people in this early stage, it's either often too much or too little. So I'm either showering and bathing or eating and drinking or taking my medicines all the time or never. Or not never, but really rarely. So in this situation, is Lisa really going to, how are you going to talk me into getting cleaned up, Lisa?
Well, if I don't exactly know what's going on yet, I'm just going to say, Mom, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you've got a little BO going on, and I think maybe you need another shower.
No, if you're smelling something, it's your own nasty self. I've taken my shower already.
Mom, no.
Yes, I'm clean. I don't know what you've been doing and who you've been wallowing around with, but I'm fine. And so take a deep breath, because what happens is we're going to do this, right? We're going to butt heads unless Lisa can figure out a way to reach around and see my perspective, because the more Lisa tries to talk to me, convince me, the worse it's going to go. Now, there might be some, so if we look back at what are the cues that we're using, we look back at what are the cues that we're using. Lisa can use visual and she can use verbal cues. So Lisa can make that connection with me and can say, hey, Mom, let's walk in the bathroom. I want to show you something in the bathroom. So we get in the bathroom, and then what do I notice is all over my shirt?
Food or something.
It's food, probably coffee. I'm bad with coffee. So I've got coffee all over my shirt. So now Lisa can use the visual cues of, oh, Mom, you might want to change your shirt, and then let me go grab one. So she goes and grabs one. Is Lisa going to grab a shirt that matches my pants or not?
Not if I need you to change your pants.
She wants me to change my pants as well. So Lisa comes back with a shirt that doesn't match, and she says, here, Mom, I think some of that may have gotten, go ahead and clean up a little bit while you're there. We get the shirt on. Oh, Mom, I'm so sorry, that doesn't match. Here's a pair of pants. While we're already here, we've already got this going. Go ahead and clean up a little bit while we're in here. And so now I'm sort of kind of better than I was, and we're off to the doctor. So that's that, using that visual and that verbal, not to explain, Mama, look at your shirt, because I can't see my shirt is dirty until I go in the bathroom because of my changes to vision. So that's kind of that first thing. And that early, I can still do stuff. I just may not remember to do it, or I may not remember the timing of it. As the disease kind of changes, and we're now talking about people in that emerald state, these are people who are remembering, not this time, but remembering the way things used to be. So what is different about the way people bathe and get cleaned up now compared to the way people bathed and got cleaned up 60 years ago? So drop it into the chat, or you can just unmute and say it out loud if you've got some ideas. How do you think bathing and getting cleaned up is different now than it was, back in the 60s? How do you think it was different? Or the 50s?
How was the experience different?
So how was the experience different? What was the equipment like, and what were the routines like? How was it different? I see Nancy said bird bath, so that bathing at the sink. Dolly Parton says you wash as high as possible and as low as possible, and then you wash possible. But that idea of kind of standing at a sink, showering like this, we are, and someone else actually put in, we are, for better or worse, we take a lot more showers now than we did in the past. And Raymond put in there weren't walk-in showers. So this idea of a separate walk-in shower, you climbed into the tub and then did it that way. So if we think about people remembering the way things used to be, and the idea of walking into a room and water falling on your head, that might be really, really scary. Or getting into tubs used to be pretty small. We didn't have these big garden tubs and whirlpool tubs. So that might be really confusing and overwhelming. So, and I said, for better or worse, we take a lot more showers. I am for being clean. I'm a big believer in being clean. I also know that unless your 90-year-olds with dementia are out working in the field, they probably don't need to be dunked or sprinkled every day. So it actually, for older people, what we find is showering and taking baths is actually really not good for the skin, because it washes off the natural oils. And so that idea that a shower a day keeps the doctor away, I know it's supposed to be an apple a day, but we get into showering every day or bathing every day. It's not necessarily, that helpful to people once they get into their 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now, there are parts of your body that need to be clean every day, if not more than every day. So we're thinking about health. What parts of your body really need to be clean for health? So go ahead and drop that in the chat, or unmute and say, what parts of your body? Hands. Thank you, Nancy. Hands. So people need to wash their hands all the time, getting in and out of the car, getting in and out. Every single time we need to wash hands a ton. Washing hands is really important. What other part of your body is really important for teeth? Thank you, Ashley, for dropping that in. We are learning more and more that a clean mouth is a clean person, is a clean life, or clean something. I've got to come up with a better one for that. But clean teeth, a clean mouth, less heart disease, less pneumonia. Clean mouths are really, really important. So we might do better to put more energy into washing hands, washing teeth, and kind of let some of the, but there are parts that you can't let go for very long. So the idea, if I'm standing at a sink and I'm cooperative and we're working together, can Lisa, so if we look at visual, because I don't need hands-on helping right now, I need that visual and that verbal. So if Lisa, my daughter, is in the bathroom with me and I've got a bath cloth, what kind of visual cues might you give me to show me where you want me to wash, Lisa?
Wash here. Yes.
Yeah. And so if Lisa would be a very good care partner for me, because Lisa's left-handed. And because Lisa's left-handed, if Zoom, it doesn't work, but because Lisa's left-handed, if she's facing me, she can be showing me with her right hand or her left hand, and it'll be mine. And so she can show me what she wants me to do. And she's going to mostly work on the important parts. So underarms is one of there. What else might be another important part to make sure it's clean? Genitalia, right?
Genitalia, yeah.
So she might she work on this when we're standing in front of the mirror, or might there be another natural time that she can work on this with me? When might be another natural time you might get me to clean between my legs, Lisa?
When you've used the toilet.
When I'm using the toilet. So, I've emptied my bladder or I've had a bowel movement, that might be the time to hand me and let me go ahead and get cleaned up. The other thing that is important to get cleaned up is under folds. So if someone's got a big abdomen, cleaning that fold is really important. Cleaning under breast is really important, but the rest of it can go a week or so. And then when I get in the shower in that week or so, what's the first thing you wash when you get somebody in the shower? So now we're moving on to the point of that amber stage where this person needs more kind of hands-on help. I'm going to need more than just Lisa showing me this. Lisa's going to actually maybe have to use her hand with my hand to kind of get me started. And then once she gets me started, I can probably keep doing it. Or I might be able to early on do it. I'm just going to be holding it like this. So she might be able to do it. When we get somebody in the shower, what tends to be the first thing we help? What's the first thing you wash on yourself when you get in the shower? So Margaret's pointing at her hair. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. It was on purpose. So hair. Okay, so that's a consensus. We wash our hair first. I wash my hair first as well. But let me ask you one thing. What happens when your hair gets wet?
It could, like your vision could get in your eyes and
Yeah.
yeah.
Water gets in your eyes and maybe shampoo gets in your eyes. And when your hair is wet, how do you start to feel?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, maybe kind of cold.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to change the scenario. I'm now helping. I'm not the person with dementia anymore. I'm now helping my person with dementia. And so in the shower, what I might want to wash first is my person's back. And why might I want to wash my person's back first?
It's soothing.
It's soothing. It's comforting. It's not scary. So once I wash the back and that feels good, now I can start coming over and kind of getting in some of these other spots because it's attached with something kind of feeling good and because I've got his hand with me as we're doing these things. And I'm also not going to waste my time on things that I can wash any old time, because I can wash his face any old time. I don't have to waste the time and that effort in that shower to do that. So I'm going to keep that focus on the things. Now, shower or tub bath or standing at the sink. Who's going to be cleaner? Someone who took a bath or somebody who took a shower or somebody who's standing at the sink? I wish we had a poll for this. I should have thought about that earlier, Lisa. We could have done a poll. So let's do an informal poll. Who do you think is going to be cleaner? A shower person, a bath person, or a sink person?
Shower, I think.
So people are
Yeah.
thinking showers, and showers are a good way to get clean. And some of y'all think you're sitting in that nasty water. You can't possibly get clean when you're sitting in that water that you've been sitting in. Some of y'all take a shower before you get in the bathtub because you don't want to be dirty sitting there in that nasty water. I know what some of y'all do. So you think a shower. So yes, a shower is a great way to get clean. I had a lady who, when she got in the shower, would get really, really upset and really some of those things that Nadia was talking about, getting scared. It was too much going on. It was too loud. It was noisy. Something about the shower always makes me feel cold and vulnerable. So when she was in the shower, she was pushing away and throwing the bath cloth and stuff. Is she going to get cleaner there, or is she going to get cleaner in front of a sink if she's not as distressed? Nancy's got it. So it's going to be at the sink. So a cooperative person standing at the sink is going to get much more clean than somebody who's in distress, who is in a shower. That kind of makes sense. So we're kind of pushing some of these standards and norms away. But for this person, I'm still going to get, Lisa, are you still going to give me those cues? Mom, we're going to wash here. Are you going to use more words or less words?
Less words.
As the disease goes on, we're going to use
Less words.
as the disease goes on. Yeah, nice. So the next gem state that we're moving to is those ruby states. So those are the people who, if you do this, they've got lots of strength, but if you do this, not very much skill. So these are the people that I really am going to be doing a lot of real hands-on kind of helping. So I'm going to actually put that that picture back up that we looked at last time. I'll put that picture back up that we looked at last time. Oops. For that hand under hand. So if you notice that it's kind of tricky. So you put your hand in the person's hand with the handshake, and then you shift into that hand under hand, and then you use that tool in your hand. So if I'm working with my person here, the secret is to use my right hand if my person's right hand, his right hand if he's right-handed, and my right and being on his right side. So in this situation, I'm going to move really, really slowly, and I might even use some of those visual cues. So I might do something like lean back and demonstrate on my face what I'm doing. This isn't in the shower. This is just clean up. So I might demonstrate on my face what we're doing, and then face, and then move in to washing this face, then rinse it, and then here, and then move in here to do it. Here, under here. So moving really slowly and giving those really gentle kinds of verbal cues. So not a lot of words, but a few words, a little bit of words as we're going through it. So then we're going to spend a couple of minutes just talking about, because it doesn't sound like many of you have people who were really at the end of dementia, but you might at some point. So if we talk a little bit about some of the other things that start to happen. When children are born, when babies are born, how are babies shaped? They're kind of shaped in that fetal position, right? They're really tight up like this. And that's really good. We want them to be shaped like that because they get to a reasonable size in a small space. And when they're born, one of the biggest dangers for newborns is managing their heat. You know, they tend to lose too much heat from their bodies, and so they can't stay warm enough. So if you're, what do you do when you're cold? You kind of pull your hands in, you kind of tuck up like this. So that's the way infants are born. And then what happens is this part of our brain right here gets more and more connections, more and more abilities, more and more developed. And we develop the ability to kind of open up and to stretch out. For people at the end of Alzheimer's disease, kind of starting in that ruby state, moving into that, what we call the end is the pearl state. What people start to do is doing this again. And it's not because they're not getting good care. It's really because their brain is making their bodies kind of do this. so those reflexes are pulling up really, really, really tight. So if you've ever spent time with a newborn, what happens when you take a newborn and you pull their arm away? What do they automatically do? They kind of pull it in really tight. So what I'm going to do instead is with my person who's kind of in this late, kind of this pearl state. His arms are up here like this. He's really, really tight like this. What I'm going to start to do with him is to do some rocking. Because if I pull his arm out like this, what is he going to do? He's going to jerk it back away from me. So what I'm going to do instead is do some rocking. And as I do rocking, his arm is going to loosen up. And as his arm kind of loosens up, I can get it here. Keep it supported with my arm along the back of his arm. And then I can use this bath cloth to wash under here without having to pull it away. Because we actually have had people, we've actually torn muscles and stuff in the shoulder or muscles and stuff between the legs from trying to do that pulling away to get people to open up, to be able to get into some of those creaks and crevices. So what I'm going to do instead is do some of that rocking and some of that moving and get gravity to kind of help me give that support there. And now I can wash under here. And I can do the same thing kind of between his legs. So if I've got him lying on his side with his legs curled up tight, and I do some rocking with that leg, and I get that leg kind of over to the side, put that pressure along his thigh. Now I can clean underneath between his buttocks. Or if it's a woman, I can actually clean the genitalia as well, or man as well. They have genitalia as well. But I can kind of clean under there, clean into the buttocks. And that way I don't have to do all that trying to push and pull and open things up in ways that can be scary and uncomfortable for that person living with dementia, and really hard work for me. You know, really hard work for me to try to pull, because these muscles that pull us in, these are really, really tight muscles. They're strong muscles, chest muscles, and these hip flexor muscles, they all pull us in tight. And so trying to open those muscles up is really, really hard work and not good for the person living with dementia.
So Melanie, what I hear you saying kind of is, I think our tendency is to come from above and underneath when we're helping someone. So we sort of are coming from the front or up under, and kind of what you're saying at this stage is we're actually coming more just from underneath and maybe like behind the armpit or up under the armpit instead of down into it. Yeah, so we're adjusting where we're coming from actually in our way of thinking of, I'm over you and I've got to get in there. And it sounds like it maybe isn't as frightening for the person either. It's more supportive maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how to say that, but like instead of me saying you have to spread your legs and clean from up above, sort of you're coming from underneath.
Mhm.
And I can be more comfortable while you do it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And so, yeah, that's exactly right. So we so another way to think about it is to think about moving the person the way their body's already moving. So if they're already doing this, then kind of doing this is moving with their body, versus doing this is trying to make their body do something different. So just like we don't try to get the person who wants to go home and we don't try to explain to them, you can't go home, because that part isn't working anymore. We say, oh, tell me about home, because we're working with the part that is working. What's working physically is this pulling in. So we work with this part that's working even more to kind of get into this position where it's more comfortable for that person living with dementia, and it's not as hard of work for us as well. So that's a great question. I'm wondering if anybody else has any questions. That was a great clarification and a great question from Lisa. I'm wondering if anybody else has any questions about bathing or about dressing or.
I have a strange one.
Sure.
Well, it's unusual. The first time I've heard it, it's a lady that when she goes to have a bowel movement, I think she's confused on what is happening. And I think she's had constipation issues. So I think in her mind, she's not sure what's happening. It's painful. So she doesn't want to have the bowel movement. So she holds it, hence making constipation worse. So the family kind of works with Miralax to keep it softer, but she still has that fear where she tries to hold it in and she won't. So how do you, or can you really even since you can't get a new thought in the head, her thought is, this is painful. I'm scared of whatever it is. So I don't want to do it.
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I've actually had that happen a couple of times. So it's not the most common, but it's also not the most unusual. So with any of these things, thank you for asking that, Margaret. With any of these things, it's those same fundamental things of how do our bodies usually move. So for a lot of older people, the best thing we can do, particularly older women, one of the best things we can do is put their feet on, my favorite go-to was always a phone book. But now we don't have phone books anymore. So, some kind of a little encyclopedia or a book or a stool or something, because what you want, the position you want somebody to be on in the toilet, the position you want is, this is my body, this is my hip. So this is where the toilet is here. You want, and these are my legs. You want my knees to be slightly above my hips. So if my knees are slightly above my hips, then I'm in a better position to kind of naturally have a bowel movement. So that's one of the things to do, is to kind of make sure, she's in that good, supportive, kind of comfortable kind of position. So, and the reason that's challenging for older women is a lot of times, there's osteoporosis. So the spine is kind of, and so they're not sitting up quite as straight. And so they don't have that real ability to feel comfortable and balanced. And so that idea of having their feet up high enough to get some pressure. The other thing I've done in that kind of situation is it's called I Love You abdominal massage, and they use it a lot with infants and toddlers, but I've used it with older people with dementia as well. And you get some lotion on your hands and you go, I love you, across the belly. So you just go down the belly, down the belly, down the belly. And it kind of helps that normal peristalsis. It gives a distraction from what's going on kind of down at the rectum. And it gives that nice it helps the peristalsis just kind of start moving and do what happens naturally. And I also, was there something in the chat, Lisa?
Yes, Nancy actually had a question about changing clothes if there's no stain or spilled food. So another idea of how do I get you to change your clothes when you're already dressed, I think. So
yeah, so that's a great question. So I try to come up with some things that might be normal times that the person might change clothes. So I might say something about, this blouse or this is too hot for today. The sun is out. It's really beautiful. Let's put on something that's lighter. So then we try something that's lighter. Or I might say, you know, we're going out later. It's going to be really cold. Let's put on something that's warmer. So I can sometimes do things with temperature and get things to do it. I sometimes will do things with, here's something new. Let's see if this fits. Or this is something I pulled out of the closet. Let's see if this still fits. So I can do that kind of thing. The other kind of thing I can do is natural times when people would change clothes. So, you know, sometimes that's around going to bed or getting up in the morning. So if you use those kind of real natural kinds of times, that's a good time to do it. I also think sometimes, and I would love to talk with Nancy, or maybe Lisa can talk with Nancy a little bit more at some point about why do the clothes need to be changed? Is it that you need to put on pajamas and these are the clothes you wore today? Or is it because these clothes are not appropriate for the event or the situation we're going into? So Nancy, can you just drop a little bit more information in there about why kind of it's important to change the clothes? Because a lot of times we can just kind of think, are we doing this for us or are we doing this for the person living with dementia? So for example, you know, lots of us put on different things to sleep in than we've worn all day. But the reality is maybe if it's evenings are sometimes hard times to do things. So maybe we just let it ride and we let the person sleep in those clothes. Okay, so wearing the clothes for several days. So what with that I might want to do is try one of those early in the morning. It's time to get dressed for the day. Later in the evening, it's time to get dressed for the night. Kind of trying some of those kinds of things. It might be, oh, you know, we're gonna get some pictures made. You know, this shirt looks so beautiful in your eyes, and then you get them in that, and you do take a picture because they do look beautiful in that shirt. But kind of trying to find some of those natural kinds of transition times for those people who are in that early kind of state, who aren't following that it needs to happen. I might also offer some choices. So the choice might not be, will you change your shirt? The choice might be, would you rather have this shirt or this shirt? It's time to get cleaned up. Would you rather wear, you know, this one or this one? Because sometimes just having the choice is enough to make people go along. Cool. So, and I saw Nancy give me a thumbs up. So I guess we got close with some of those.
She said thank you in the comments.
Oh,
and
yay. Yay.
I would just also add that if your person does like one particular outfit and they're wearing that all the time, maybe it's the way the fabric feels on them, or maybe it's the way it fits. Maybe it's a little looser than some of the other clothes they have, that kind of thing. So if you can figure out why that's more comfortable than other clothes, sometimes you can help that way too.
Yeah. The other thing I will say is if you find something that person really likes, I buy 12 of them. You know, if they're cheap. You know, if it's the Black Friday sale at Kohl's and their t-shirts are $7 a piece, I would buy 3 of them and just rotate them.
Exactly. So it is 1 o'clock and we are out of time. Unfortunately, Ashley has asked a question: how do you motivate someone to get up and get ready for the day?
Okay.
And so maybe we can talk more about that, or do you have a couple quick suggestions for us?
Yeah, I think Ashley just unmuted. Was there something you wanted to add, Ashley, about that?
Nothing specific. Just it seems like I'm trying to turn my video on. Sorry. Nothing specific. Just, you know, sometimes this person wants to just lay in bed and don't want to get up and doesn't understand the need to eat, or, you know, that kind of situation. So I was just wondering if there's a way to motivate the individual to get up.
So there are lots of things that are happening in the brain with dementia. And one of the things, and maybe we will talk about this more next time, but one of the things that happens is that ability to get started. So kind of initiation. So, an object at rest tends to stay at rest unless interacted with the equal and active force or something like that. I modified it a little bit. But, so are you ready to get up? No. You ready to go get some? No. So sometimes different language works if the person is still understanding language. So sometimes changing those verbal cues to, Ashley, it's time to get up. Do you want breakfast first or do you want to brush your teeth first? So sometimes giving that choice of what to do first kind of thing. The other thing, I know we're out of time, and the other thing that always comes to my mind when people are struggling in the morning is, are they having pain? Because a lot of older people have arthritis. A lot of times arthritis is more uncomfortable in the morning. So I always kind of think about that. Do we need to kind of give them some Tylenol or something, whatever is recommended early in the morning? So then when it comes time to get up, that's not uncomfortable. Do any of those things seem reasonable?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so it's very individual. So I might say something, I need your help getting breakfast ready.
Sure.
I
Okay.
would love your help. So good. So thank y'all so much for coming. I guess I will see you next Friday.
We'll talk again next Friday. If anyone has any more particular situations that they'd like to ask advice on or that kind of thing, next Friday is definitely our day for that. So please either email them ahead of time or come prepared to sort of ask your questions about your specific situations and what's going on with you. And Ashley, maybe try some of those things in next Friday. Let us know how it goes.
And I also will have a couple of kind of scenarios that we can talk through as well. So if you don't want to be on the spot and it be specifically about you and your family member, because wouldn't everybody be embarrassed? You could send, and I could build a scenario around one of the issues as well.
Yeah, by all means, you can email that to me and I won't share out who asked this or who asked that. So we'll keep that confidential if you want to do that way. So thank you all so much for being with us. We will send you a copy of the recording so you'll have that to refer back to, or share with your family if you need to. And we really appreciate your time today, Melanie. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a great Friday.